You know that feeling when a conversation starts off fine, and then suddenly, without even understanding how it happened, you are standing in the middle of a full-blown argument, heart pounding, voice raised, saying things you do not even mean, and the person you care about most is looking at you like a stranger. That moment, that specific, awful, gut-wrenching moment. That is what we are talking about today, because here is the truth most people never say out loud. The argument is never really about what it looks like on the surface. It is never truly about the dishes in the sink, or who forgot to pay the bill, or why someone was 20 minutes late. Those are just the match. The real fire has been building for a long time, and if nobody ever taught you how to actually handle conflict, you are basically just throwing gasoline on it every single time and wondering why everything keeps burning down. I want you to think about the last real argument you had. Not a minor disagreement, a real one, where you felt completely unheard, where no matter what you said, the other person just fired something back, where it felt like you were fighting against each other instead of trying to understand each other, and at some point, you either exploded or you shut down completely. Neither felt good, neither fixed anything. And hours later, maybe even days later, there was this heavy silence between you two that felt worse than the argument itself. That cycle, that exhausting, heartbreaking cycle. It is one of the most common things that destroys relationships, kills productivity in workplaces, and slowly erodes the connections that matter most in your life. And people go years, sometimes decades, without ever breaking it. Not because they are bad people, not because they do not care, but because nobody ever gave them the actual tools to do it differently. Here is where I want to pause for just a second, because if what I am sharing is already starting to connect with something you have been feeling, we have related programs linked down below in the video description that go much deeper into this work. Honestly, if you are someone who thinks you already communicate pretty well, those programs probably are not for you. But if some part of you knows there is a level of connection and understanding you have not been able to reach yet, the link is there when you are ready. Now, let me tell you something that completely changed the way I understand conflict. Most people enter an argument trying to win, and the moment you are trying to win, you have already lost, because you cannot win an argument with someone you love without both of you losing something. Every point scored in an argument is a small withdrawal from the emotional bank account of that relationship. And those withdrawals add up. People have ended 15-year relationships over emotional debt they never even realized they were accumulating. Here is the approach that changes everything. It is called validation before resolution, and it sounds simple, but simple is not the same as easy. When an argument starts, your nervous system hijacks your brain. Your heart rate spikes, your thinking becomes narrow, you stop listening to understand and you start listening to respond. This is not a character flaw, this is biology, but biology can be interrupted, and that interruption is where the transformation happens. The moment you feel that heat rising, instead of defending yourself or counterattacking, you do something that feels almost impossible in that moment. You stop, you breathe, and you say something like this. I can see this really matters to you. Tell me more about what you are feeling right now. That is it. That is the first move. Watch what happens in the other person when they feel genuinely heard instead of immediately challenged. Something physically shifts in them. Their shoulders drop, their voice changes, the fight goes out of their eyes. Because what almost every single argument is actually about at its core is someone feeling unseen, unheard, or unimportant. The moment you take away that feeling, the argument loses most of its fuel. But here is the part that nobody talks about. You have to mean it. You cannot fake presence. People can feel when you are performing empathy versus when you are actually offering it. And if you are still secretly rehearsing your rebuttal while they are talking, they will feel that too. Real validation requires you to actually become curious about the other person's experience, even when you disagree with it. Even when it feels completely unfair. Especially then, let me paint you a picture. Two people, same argument they have had 100 times. One person feels like they do everything and gets no appreciation. The other person feels like nothing they do is ever good enough. Both of them are in pain, both of them are telling their version of the truth, and every time they argue, they are so busy defending their own pain that they never actually see the other person's pain sitting right across from them. Years go by like this, and eventually one of them stops fighting back. Not because they stopped caring, because they stopped hoping it would ever be different. That is the real cost of unresolved conflict. It is not the argument itself. It is the slow erosion of hope. The quiet decision that this is just how things are. And that decision, that moment of giving up, costs more than most people ever calculate. It costs intimacy. It costs joy. It costs years of your one life spent feeling disconnected from the people you chose to build it with. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine a conversation that starts to get heated, and instead of escalating, it transforms. Instead of two people fighting to be right, two people genuinely trying to understand each other. Imagine resolving in 20 minutes something that used to take 3 days of cold silence. Imagine the person across from you actually feeling safer with you because of how you handled a difficult moment instead of more afraid of you. People who master this one skill report something remarkable. Their relationships deepen in ways they had stopped believing were possible. The conversations they used to dread become the ones that bring them closest. Conflicts that used to take days to recover from get resolved in a single conversation. And the trust that builds when someone knows you will actually listen to them, that kind of trust compounds. It grows. It creates a relationship that can handle hard things because it has proven over and over that it can. This is not theoretical. The research on this is overwhelming. Relationships where partners feel genuinely heard during conflict are dramatically more stable, more satisfying, and more resilient over time. Workplaces where leaders practice this skill see measurable increases in team performance and retention. And individuals who learn this approach report lower stress, better sleep, and a sense of emotional freedom that they had not felt in years. Because here's what shifts when you stop trying to win arguments and start trying to create understanding. You stop carrying the weight of unresolved tension everywhere you go. That constant low-grade stress of unspoken things between you and someone important. That heaviness. It starts to lift. And what replaces it is something most people have not felt in a very long time. Actual peace. So let me give you the full framework simply. Step 1. Pause before you react. Even 5 seconds creates space between stimulus and response. Step 2. Acknowledge before you explain. Let the other person know you genuinely heard them before you say anything about yourself. Step 3. Get curious. Ask a real question, not a sarcastic one, a real one. What specifically made that feel so difficult for you? Step 4. Share your own experience using language that describes your feelings, not accusations. Not you always do this. Instead, I feel invisible when this happens, and that really hurts me. Step 5. Look for the shared need underneath the conflict. Almost always, both people want the same thing. To feel loved, respected, or valued. Start there. This is the work. It is not complicated. But it requires practice. It requires someone to go first. And it almost always has to be you. Because whoever is reading this, whoever is watching this right now, you are the kind of person who actually cares enough to be here. That matters more than you know. And if you are ready to go beyond this and actually build this as a skill in your real life, the related programs in the video description below are there for you. Most people will watch this, feel it, and then go right back to old patterns because they never take the next step. Do not be most people. The link is below. This information alone is powerful, but applied, with structure and support, it changes everything.